So basically, last night, I became Spider-Man. Yeah, that happened. In case you didn't catch it last night, I was on the Variant Rolls channel again for part 2 in our level 14 adventure in Dungeons of the Mad Mage, and it was epic gaming last night. It was so much fun. I hope you got to see it. If you didn't, then you can check out, after you watch this video, you can check out the VOD on the Variant Rolls Twitch channel, or in a day or so, you'll be able to see it on their YouTube channel. I had so much fun. We were about to not be able to play because we were down 2 players. One person was hiding from tornadoes, and the other one, we're not exactly sure what happened. Apparently, they just couldn't make it. And, well, that happens sometimes, right? I mean, we're all humans, and stuff comes up. And 2 of the other members of the Variant Roll community stepped up, Tim and Jono, and they were awesome. They were so good, and we had so much fun. And then on top of it, well, here's a brief little look at what happened, okay? We played, again, this is Dungeons of the Mad Mage, right? So we're down in Hallister's craziness. This is level 14. So we are all 13th level characters at this point. I reprieved Hadar, my Dragonborn Eldritch Knight. I've not played an Eldritch Knight before, and I'm having fun with him, even though I've barely used any of his abilities. Like, we've hardly done any fighting, I've hardly done any spell casting, a little bit, but nothing spectacular, and almost all of it has been strictly for, like, story or gameplay, story or role-playing moments. And it was so much fun. Literally one of the most epic experiences I've had playing D&D last night. We got to, basically it was like the most memorable I can remember in a while. And not only that, like in the 30 years I've been playing D&D, it is one of those moments that I will never forget, because I flubbed a roll and basically ended up getting, how do I want to even say it? I got screwed by a polymorph trap. Now, this is a modified polymorph trap. It literally probably should have killed me. Basically, it would have turned me into an owlbear, and that would have been the end of that, unless someone else possibly in the party had polymorph to put me back. But that's neither here nor there. I basically got turned into Spider-Man. Sort of. Not really, but sort of, because it was funny to say that. I'm not a drider, but like, dude, this is what happened. You're not going to believe this. I'm checking out a statue and a trap, essentially. Trying to figure out, we're trying to find these keys. We need a total of 6 keys, right? And we had one, we're trying to find our second key, and I'm like trying to investigate and inadvertently end up tripping this trap. I get blasted, I make a die roll. The DM is awesome. This is DM Corey. He's amazing. Anything he does, y'all should check out. And every game I've seen him run just turns out to be spectacular and fun for everybody, which is amazing. As a DM, I love learning from him and watching how he does things. He's very spontaneous. He's very willing to let the gameplay be more important than the rules and the stuff. He'd rather you have a good time playing. And that is, in my opinion, that's quintessentially the best trait a DM can have. Is like, how do you facilitate everybody at the table having fun? Now, and of course, it could be a virtual table, but, actual table, virtual table, whatever. Everybody in the game should be having fun, right? And we so much did last night. So I flubbed this roll, and Basically, he says, okay, so there you've experienced this excruciating pain as piercing out through your back, through your armor, are 8 spider legs. You now have a climb speed of 30 and can do an attack with the spider legs for 1d6 piercing damage. What? Are you kidding me? Now check this out. My first response initially was like, well, that's okay. I've got remove curse and that should handle this or something. And I kind of default into this like, oh shit, how can I fix it mode? And then like a few moments go by and I'm kind of, okay, I'm thinking like, you know what? I'm going to yes and this. So if you've heard the term before, yes and, it's a term that's used in improv. When you watch people doing improv, when you watch other great streams, gamers, whatever, like Critical Role and others like it, they play the game with this in mind. Yes and. So whatever happens, so if I hand you a baton, you're going to take the baton and you're going to say yes and this. So if I say to you, like, wow, it's really cold out here. Instead of going, no, it's not. I'm perfectly hot. That's a terrible role-playing. That's terrible improving. When you do that, you break the flow. So yes and is... somebody says, oh, it's so cold out here, and you go, oh gosh, you're absolutely right. Or you go, oh yeah, it's a good thing we've got these winter cloaks here, put yours on. That's yes and. You take the information given to you and you roll with it. Well, check this out. So last night, the reason I had so much fun is because I actually did that in the game. At first I was like, oh my gosh, this horrible thing happened. How do I fix it? And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm gonna roll with this. I'm just gonna have fun with this. So I just started doing stuff that like, well, what would you do if you have spider legs coming out of your back? I mean, what would you do, right? So the first thing I did, I kind of like quieted down for a moment and I just like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, I can work with this. This is in my head. I can work with this. So I'm like, so a couple minutes after this happened, I go, okay. So I said to the group, like, so you guys notice at some point that you kind of like, you look up and Hadar is just hanging from the ceiling now. And he's kind of standing there, like his spider legs up on the ceiling and his arms crossed. And when he notices you noticing him, he sort of looks at you and then just like shrugs, like as if to say like what? Like this is perfectly normal. So that's what happened last night. That's a spoiler of this episode. That's not the only cool thing that happened. The whole session was amazing. But that certainly was, for me, the most fun. And then I just kept rolling. I just kept going. And like having fun with this. It turned out to be sort of a boon or a benefit in the game session. And like, I can get turned back at some point. There are spells, there's magic, there's greater restoration or polymorph or, greater, or what's it called? The other polymorph, not greater polymorph. What's it called? True polymorph, that's what it is. I can get that done, right? And turn myself back. But why? I mean, has there ever been a dragonborn with spider legs before? Probably not. So anyway, and even if there is, man, it was just fun to roll with it. And everybody had a good time. The role-playing was great. I got so lucky again because we just, randomly Jen and... Again, Tim, which is Anon Moth, which in my mind, Anon Moth is anonymous, like it's a play on anonymous. So Anonymoth, and I just thought that was so creative and clever for a name. And then Mammal Jono or Jono Mammal, and you guys were amazing. Everybody's role playing was great. I had so much fun last night. DM Corey keeps the ball rolling, keeps the game moving. We really didn't have combat, and yet we went a little bit over and ended up having just a tiny bit of combat at the very end. And again, we had our wonderful bunny, who was played by randomly generated, if you prefer. She goes and just obliterates. She casts Dawn and just like annihilates these hobgoblins again. And so Hadar's kind of like, well, thanks. No action again. He wants to get into the fight. Like, he's a man of action. He wants to he wants to get in there and do something. And that's twice where she just like wipes the floor with all of our foes. But we ended the session with a fire giantess like opening the door, like, what's going on here? And so next session we have a fire giant to deal with. So, oh my gosh, it was super fun. Thank you for tuning in here for this. I hope go play D&D and have that kind of fun. Make crazy fun stories, and tune in tomorrow for another one of these silly vlogs. Thank you, my friends, and remember, it's your game, play your way.